heartbeat. Today I'm gonna dive right into the numbers. And just as a little reminder, I'm always filming these a week behind, just so that I'm able to give you the full picture of what had occurred during the week. So our revenue booked was $2,500, which was also our revenue produced. We just had the one job. Our leads in we had 10 leads. So our leads have definitely been increasing slowly but steadily. And out of those 10 leads, we only had one lead closed, but with a little asterisk next to it because it was none of those leads. It was a lead from a couple of months ago that Tim had done the estimate and they finally were ready to move forward. Our material cost was 15%, which if you don't remember, I'm always trying to be under 22%, and lately it keeps being a little bit higher than that, so I was thrilled to be at 15. And our labor cost was 23%. So those were our numbers, and despite the fact that we've had more leads, it's been a little bit slow, but I will come back to this a little bit later in the video. We also, because we had hired a new salesperson a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago, we got an iPad with an OtterBox. We bought sales shirts to be embroidered. I'll be taking care of that in this week. Shout out to John Majak. He got us a vendor booth tent. So we'll be hitting all the home shows and any kind of event like that. We will be set and ready to go to show up and get our names and faces out there. As I mentioned last week, we've been having to buy a lot of tools as we go, even just like for the jobs that are not our everyday jobs, in particular, like the pool deck, the drain. We had bought a pressure washer a few weeks ago to do a cleaning of a drain. Little things like that. So I am having to reorganize the shop already a little bit. I went this morning and bought more shelves and some things to hang up on the wall, and I'm excited to get all of that organized, but also that now we have more tools and things to be starting an inventory of to try to keep track of and make sure that we are just on top of all of the things that we've purchased. So we also were approved for a credit card, and that was extra exciting because we had reached a point where our bank account was a little bit low and our stock, we always keep we buy a full coil of just white with brown on the other side because those are the two most common colors from Spectra, and then I always keep a stock of white 3x4 downspouts, 3x4 elbows, and end caps. That way, since those are our most common colors, we usually have the items in stock as soon as the job is won. However, because we had gotten a little bit lower, I started ordering just per job, but with the credit card, we will be able to do a lot more. And shout out to Spectra for being amazing and always helping and really helping us get set up. It's always good to have the credit so that we have the liquid cash, especially to be able to make payroll and make sure that we have money to pay the installers. Although I will say that with such a small, for me, going from a $3 million plus business a year to a startup, it has been insanely easier to keep up with AR, and I am proud to say that our AR is fully collected. We don't have anything that we're waiting on, and that's always a really good feeling. And now I am going to get back to that story I promised at the beginning, but I am going to bring Grant in for this.
All right. So I get to be a part of the weekly heartbeat. Thank you. So I appreciate you checking in with me, Lisa, and I think we've got a story to tell, and let's dive right into it. So last month, me, Tim, and you decided to hire, it was time to hire a salesperson. We thought we had found the right person. I think he is the right person just for somebody else. So, man, kind of went downhill quick. Why don't you tell us, I mean, you're the GM, so like what happened? And you ended up making an ultimate decision, and I'm proud of you for doing that. But like, give us what led up to it.
Well, I think There was a few different factors, but one of which was he was working for us part-time, but he had basically a 9-to-5 job. And I think it ended up being bit off a little bit more than he could chew. He was having a little bit of trouble going from his job to then having to drive to some of these estimates that were a little bit further away. And then because he was rushing, it was a little bit harder to follow our protocols, which involved pictures and diagrams before we send the proposals.
And proposals, let's be real. It appeared like, and listen, Lisa, you're learning and seeing a lot more about the gutter industry as I see people are starting to call you the gutter queen and the gutter mama and all that. And that's cool. You deserve it. You're working hard. Keep it up. And lots of your dreams will come to fruition through just this one channel in your life. But yeah, we have extremely high expectations, right? You have extremely high expectations of what those sales protocols are. And he just, bottom line, it looked like wasn't meeting him, especially as I was kind of, peekabooing over your shoulder as like, hey, how are we doing with the leads? So tell us a little bit about what he was given and what he did with them.
He was given probably about 13 leads, and he wasn't able to win any of them. I do also want to comment that I think part of it also is we hired him, and the very next day he started doing estimates, and he never really had a chance to really learn our CRM.
Yeah.
So I think that was a lot.
No, I think that's really important. So it was a learning lesson for us. And, part of that is you did fabulous with the onboarding of him, right? We went through a lot of who we are, what we are, and how to use. So I'm not going to discredit Mother's Gutters so much. But we learned some things we could have done better, right?
Yeah.
We always want to make sure that our salesperson is going out in a wrapped vehicle. We're not at that stage yet. If we wanted to buy it, we know we could, but we've talked about that's not how we're doing it this year. We're taking essentially net earned income and then putting that back into the business, and we're not at a fully wrapped vehicle. And I don't think we feel good about the magnet, right? I think is the decision we made. So we didn't serve him maybe the best in that way. I know that we had ordered a tablet. We've got it here, the red iPad. Mother's Gutters is just so prominent around here. And he wasn't able to come pick that up, right? Business cards, like just some different things, great uniforms. We could have probably been set up a little bit better, but due to his experience level in the interview, he had communicated that he was just ready to hit the road running, that he would sell. And in fact, I think he sold 0 of 13.
Yeah.
And I think we're finding out that maybe half of those leads were not even sent in the typical form or fashion, the right way. And then he probably might have even been handing them, the price on a business card or something. Who knows?
Yeah, there definitely wasn't any pictures or diagrams, which is a problem because then nobody knows what he sold if something does go through.
So we know what we need to do to be better in this next scenario with a salesperson. We learned some stuff through this, and we don't have any bad blood with Jason. It just wasn't going to work out. I think the teaching an old dog, a great old dog, new tricks, literally was what the road bump was. I just want to speak briefly on your attentiveness, though, and reporting. Fabulous job. I know me and Tim both feel that way. You put the red flags up immediately. And through that, you had a couple different discussions with Jason. What do those look like?
Well, I do like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And I know that it can take a little bit of time to adjust and everything. But so my conversations were basically just checking in and then telling him why it was important to do certain things, that it was extremely important and that it was unacceptable to not do them. Mm-hmm. And I always tried to hear him out a little bit, though, to hear maybe what ways we could help.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think you did fabulous at that. And I know that in this heartbeat, I wanted to just surprise you and tell you that we are highly impressed by the even though not massive workload on the front end with the customer base, you've been doing a tremendous amount for us on the back end. And I think this is just another check mark on the back end of something we'll do a little bit better on with the next salesperson that we hire. And lastly, the way you stepped up. You didn't ask the owners, me or Tim, to come in and handle this situation with Jason. What did it feel like? That was your first probably official hire and fire. I think you did both. So like, how'd the firing part feel?
Well, I mean, you never want to fire someone, but I mean, it's a little bit empowering, just especially when you are a little bit of wanting to make everybody comfortable and being a little bit more motherly and not wanting to hurt anyone's feelings. Just knowing that you're able to do so in a manner where they're not leaving the situation feeling bad about it. I believe that he left feeling like, yeah, no, it just wasn't a good fit. No hard feelings, and I think that's important. And
it's very important. It's very important. Listen, a lot of people don't talk about the scary side of firing. I mean, it could get as drastic as someone coming back and shooting up your business. It could be them bashing you to the next company. They could not return things that they have, right? So letting people go, making sure you give them all their pay, not playing games with their pay if you owe them anything. Me and Tim talk a lot about that. Don't dare play with people's pay when you're letting them go. Don't do it ever, but just be rid of the problem if it is a problem. Jason, you weren't a problem here. You just weren't a part of the solution. And I think we learned some and you learned some, Lisa. Hats off to you on handling the situation. And in speaking with Jason, I mean, you did just fine. So good job on that. Let's not leave this without saying that the master is back. And you threw Tim, 4 leads immediately. And I think he's kind of working on, we got all 4.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Diagram.
All in one day.
Yeah, all in one day. 4 estimates, close 4. Pictures, estimates, communication. We're working with drip jobs. It's extremely important. We are a customer company, right? We're a gutter company, but we're in the customer business. And the way our contracts are written and set up and the way we showcase the opportunity to work with us to the homeowners is through that initial email that says you've received your estimate. Everything should be there spelled out, and we won't have it any other way. So good job on the front and the back end, Lisa, this week. I know you probably shared some other stuff about our numbers and lots of things you're working on. So we'll let you get back to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.